In this video, we're talking about gain staging. Now, that's the technical term for making sure your output sounds as good as it possibly can. Not too high, so we're popping everything in the reds, not so low that we hear the background noise as much as anything else. Now, this feature can be used for both recording purposes onto a studio setup. It also works, of course, for anything that you're going to do live. So instead of hooking it up to a computer, maybe you're hooking it up to your speakers. Now, that's very important. You want to be able to do that in both cases. It also applies, very importantly, not just to microphones, but it also applies to all your instruments, including your guitars and your keyboards and your electric drum sets. And it also applies to anything you're going to plug in, like a computer or an audio interface or an actual controller. If you're planning on playing music directly into it, you're going to want to be able to do this. So let's cover all that in this video right here and do it in plain English. So if you've never done this before, you'll be able to do it right off the hop. So right now I have a wireless microphone plugged into it and I have a hypercardioid. That's the one I'm talking to you right now. Now, what I'm going to do is annoy you, and I will adjust the volume so this way you don't have to suffer through this, but I will show you what it sounds like to be over modulated, to have the gain so high that it's basically distorting. So we're going to do that by turning everything up here, and we're going to just slide this right up here so bad that it's right over the top, and we can't get any louder and make it really bad just like that. That's how bad it can get. But of course, we don't want to live in that world. That's a really bad world, and it's also going to really distort the overall sound. We want to live somewhere between -3 or +3, depending on the mixer you have. You want to go down 1 or +1 on the actual 0. Unity, that's the magic number in the middle. That's the best you can hope for, and that's what you're shooting for. So this way you're going to get good quality sound out of your mixer. Now, of course, that doesn't happen all the time, so don't feel bad if you're like 2 to below that or 2 above that, as long as you're staying inside the yellow, not hitting the red, and not getting close, because that's the danger zone. And of course, the same thing down below. It becomes too soft. So then you're going to ask yourself, what's the actual solution to the problem? How we're going to adjust this? Well, of course, you're going to bring this up depending on whoever's using it, and you're going to ask them to naturally speak into the microphone or sing into the microphone the way they normally would, or you can do sound checks like I'm doing right now. Now, in this case, because the actual microphone I'm using is a hypercardioid, it does require a lot of energy on the gain to make it happy, and it also requires a lot of level to get it going. Now notice over here, I've already preset my slider up at 0, so this way I can turn it down and I can turn it up a bit depending on what I'm looking for. Now that really is helpful if you're doing presentations and you have different speakers, because then you can easily adjust for somebody who talks very softly or doesn't talk close to the microphone, or adjust it for somebody who's really loud. So if you have somebody who's really loud pushing it all the time, you can bring it down a little bit. Now, that's as simple as that gets. Now, we're going to cover all these other dials in other videos, but really, we want to get this in the +3, -3, or in your software, you want to make sure that you're not going too low, that when you have a standing quiet room, that you're not right against the actual background noise. And I'm going to demonstrate that as well. So we've already done the too much. Now let's do too little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down so little that even though I'm going to compensate for it on the computer, so this way you can hear it in the video, you'll notice that the noise level is going to come up dramatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this right down all the way, so it's so soft you can hardly hear it. Right down there. Nothing happening here. It's just touching just a little bit. But when I fix this, you're going to hear all that background noise. It's going to be terrible, just so you can hear it on your actual computer. So how do I fix that again? I noticed I didn't touch the gain up here. I touched the level here, and I'm going to bring this back up for, in my case, 75%. That's going to make everything sound good again. Now, that's a great mix. Now, at the end of the day, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to adjust my entire mixer's gain levels so they're comfortable, and then come across and set up all the levels at the bottom. So this way I can make fine-tune adjustments, because once I've adjusted everybody individually, hopefully at 12 o'clock, and when I bring people together, I can just fine-tune it. Some people are going to need to be louder. Some people are going to need to be lower, depending on how we want to set up the room. But that's it. You've done it. That's gain. Too much gain, and you're going to distort. Too little gain, and you're going to have a hard time hearing your voice or anybody else's voice through the actual background noise. So there you go. That, in my case, is gain staging. Well, I hope this helps you out a bit in figuring out how to set this up and also what gain staging actually means for you.